Hello everyone, how are you? Happy King of Dust release. Hello everyone, I'm also saying hi to everybody on TikTok as well. It's great to see you. Welcome to the King of Dust launch party. How are you, Ava? Hi Eric. For everybody on TikTok as well, we are live over on YouTube and on Twitch, so if that is something that you are interested in doing and popping over there instead of over here, you can do that as well. There are so many options. How is everyone? For those of you popping in, we are celebrating the launch of my brand new book, King of Dust, which is a lit RPG vampire fantasy. I will show it off over here too. Wow, wow, amazing, incredible, amazing. So cool. There's a couple of different versions of this book. We have the King of Dust hardcover copy. I'm also showing TikTok too. And then also too, we have the paperback. So pretty neat, super stoked. That's for you guys checking it out. So thank you so much for all the support. This launch has been absolutely insane so far. So crazy. I have sold more copies of this book than I have sold any book I've ever written. Also, Ava, thank you so much for the follow over on the TikTok. That's my my non-author TikTok is this one over here. Unfortunately, I don't have enough followers yet on my author TikTok to do this live, so we're doing it over here. So, yeah, the way that today's going to go is effectively I'm going to be reading a couple of chapters of King of Dust. We're going to be doing this for probably about an hour, and then I will be answering anybody's questions as they pop up throughout the live reading. So, there was a couple of questions that were dropped during or in the feedback stream and feedback channel over on my Discord, but feel free to grab those questions and save them in your brain if you want to ask me those questions as after we get into the Q&A portion of that. So I'm very excited, and without further ado, I will introduce King of Dust. I'll read the blurb on the back of the book, or in this case, in the inside of the book, for the hardcover copy. So, yeah, this is the blurb. In the twilight-drenched country of Starkovia, a disgraced king seeks redemption. Darius Starban, once the son of a great king, now grapples with the weight of centuries of mistakes and the curse of vampirism. His journey to atonement begins with an unlikely entourage: Urian, the Cambion Inquisitor, Yura, his aristocratic ex-boyfriend, and Astrid, a newfound companion with secrets of her own. This lit RPG fantasy blends comedy, magic, and LGBTQ romance into a gripping narrative. Can Darius rise above his mistakes, heal the wounds of Starkovia, and navigate the complex dance of his relationships without succumbing to his own curses? The stakes are high, the path fraught with peril, and the only certainty is that Starkovia and Darius will never be the same again. So, that's the book. That's what it's about, roughly. This book was a Waddy's 2022 finalist. It was not a winner. Boo! But it was a finalist, so I did get second place. And also, too, the book was on the Wattpad Editor's Choice list twice. So this thing blew up. It has over 1,500 active readers on Wattpad right now. And finally, it is now in print format, which is really exciting for me. So with that, for those of you unfamiliar with lit RPG, I'll just explain that really quickly as well. It's kind of a new genre. It's only been around for I would say even less than 10 years as a genre. And it can cover everything from really intense lit RPG fantasy that has power-ups, stats, text, that kind of stuff inside of the novel. And those typically involve characters that are transported into the world of video games or into tabletop RPG settings, but it can also cover what King of Dust is, which is a progression fantasy, and it's inspired by Dungeons & Dragons. This was inspired by the Dungeons & Dragons campaign Curse of Strahd specifically, and it has some elements of the new Curse of Strahd module in it while still being original. So I hope you all enjoy it, and if this is an exciting experience for you, you can get King of Dust on Amazon now. It came out today. So I'll get started reading. So, King of Dust. This book is dedicated to everyone who has ever lost someone they loved and thereby lost an essential part of themselves. Every book comes with this illustration in it. I'll show. It's this one. It's just the illustration that's on the cover, and it also is inside the paperback as well. I'm showing TikTok, don't mind me. So, if you do get the paperback version of the book, you do still get this illustration. It's just in black and white. Alright, Chapter 1. Hey, friends, we can talk about this. Yeah, come on now. Pull this noose from my neck so we can speak civilly. You had your chance to talk, Starban. Shut your gob or we'll stuff it with tar. A man whose hands smelled strongly of garlic placed a wreath of the bulbs around my neck and then gave a good, strong tug on the noose. The rough rope pulled up against my skin, scraping and burning a rash into my neck. I chuckled nervously as I looked onward to a crowd of angry protesters, the citizens of the town that had but weeks ago lay beneath the parapets of my castle, hands full of torches and pitchforks. Those were the only weapons the townspeople had. Lilia Sorensen will attest to my innocence. I've turned over a new leaf, I swear it, I choked out while the executioner tugged on ropes around my wrists. They spared no expense in keeping me stationary. It was all for show. At a moment's notice, I could escape. With ease, honestly, but that was not the point. I had to be good. Lilia has gone to Kalka. There is no one here to speak for you. I had really gotten myself into something. I had made the miscalculated assumption that I could go on a late-night walk into town without my traveling companions, and it seemed that the people of the town of Starkovia would make sure that it was the last mistake I would make. No friendly faces bobbed in the crowd, and I fought the garlic bulbs at my neck. The soft, dry husks of the bulbs tickled at the underside of my jaw, and I twitched to get them away from my skin. Irritating at best. You know hanging me does nothing, yeah? I decided on a different approach. I bared my teeth at the executioner, roaring out, and he, along with several people at the foot of the wooden platform I stood on, jumped back. They feared me because they knew I defied death. I had ruled them for hundreds of years at a distance, granted, so did they really think a noose was going to do the trick? I will swing and swing, but I will not die. Don't you village people know anything? You'll swing, certainly, the executioner replied, his hands folded calmly behind his back as if he were giving a religious sermon. And then we will leave you here until the dawn breaks the mountains. Then you'll burn. Death by blazing inferno. Of course, I should have expected as much. The noose was irritating, the garlic tickling, but the sun, that would certainly do me in. Darius Marchel Staban, the executioner continued. I, Alban Maya, judge and courtmaster of the town of Starkovia, try you for vampirism and tyranny. Do you have anything to say for yourself? I rolled my eyes and shifted my feet. I needed to stall for time. Here was the problem. I really was trying to turn over a new leaf, become a better person. In order to do that, I needed the people of Starkovia to trust me. I could not simply run away from the situation, even though it was well within my power to do so. I knew my traveling companions would come to look for me eventually, but I bet my life on stolen time. Time to talk their ears off. You dare do this to me? Do you not understand the wrath you will invoke? You know nothing about my history and my family. I would entertain the idea of educating such impudent muttonheads such as yourself, but you lot can barely read. You must believe me when I say that I have given up my throne. Do you see a crown upon my head? I gave it away. You have imprisoned the people of the country of Starkovia for centuries. holed away in your castle on the hill. Your vampire children, those spawns from hell, have ravaged our populations and struck fear into the hearts of our citizens for far too long. Albin rasped as he leaned in next to my ear. Not but a few weeks ago, the sun rose for the first time in 400 years, vampire, and I intend to see you burn with it. I became nervous. Where were they? All things considered, I guessed that it perhaps was not on the priority list of the Inquisitor that I traveled with to save my skin. I understood why the townspeople wanted me dead. By theory, if I died, all the vampires in Starkovia died. Cut off the head, the body will fail, as the adage goes. I was the boogeyman under their beds, the monster in their closets. Of course they would want to see the flesh crisp off my bones like an overbaked potato. However, what they did not know was that I was not directly responsible for my children, the other vampires murdering their children. I could only control them so much and had made it clear that terrorizing the townspeople was something I was not cool with, but here I was regardless. They also didn't know that I typically did not drink victims dry, I kept them alive if I could. I also didn't brutalize my victims. I wined and dined them for Fonda's sake. And on top of that, had I asked to become a vampire? No, I didn't. But were they going to ask me? Hang him. Nope, apparently not. Wait, I cried out, desperately trying to avoid swinging in pain for the remaining hours of the night before I burned to death in the sun. Urian, the Inquisitor. He and my traveling companions are just outside of the town's limits in the woods. Please, go get him. I implore you. Shut it, vampire. Albin spat as the crowd cheered. He stuffed a fistful of cloth into my mouth. It tasted like mildew and piss, might I add, and I fell silent. I hadn't really imagined that this was how my life was going to end. I had led such a life of valor. Darius Starban, conqueror, lover, king. I treated my people as decently as I could. I treated my lovers better. After all of this, making amends, finally starting over, I was going to hang. Albin approached the lever that would inevitably lead me to my death. I took a deep breath in, taking in the cold Starkovian night air for what I assumed would be my last time. I had really thought that the Inquisitor had my back. He had seemed so hell-bent on helping me, but I supposed it would be easier to just let me swing. Albin pulled the lever. What I expected was for the platform to fall from beneath my feet, dropping me below. What happened was the lever stuck. Albin leaned against it with purpose, face turning tomato red as he tried to get the mechanism to give. I started to chuckle, and then laugh as the debacle unfolded and the townspeople grumbled. With effort, I managed to spit the old rag out of my mouth. "Come on!" a woman with no teeth in the front row shouted. "I didn't wake in the middle of the night for this." "Hello?" I shouted as I stood proud on the platform, chin up. Kind of anticlimactic to hang somebody who can't die, isn't it? Perhaps you should have ditched the plan in the first place. "My fellow citizens, my brethren, my family," Albin huffed, wiping his brow with a handkerchief, beaten by fighting the rusted machine. "By dawn tomorrow, Darius Marchel Starban will be nothing more than dust. It was because of your efforts that he was even brought in. Without Mirren and his boys, we wouldn't have even taken him down. Not like I, let you bring me in, but whatever," I muttered under my breath. "Silence, Hellspawn," Albin spat. He did something inconceivable then. He hit me across the face. "Well, I never," I ground out, appalled by the sheer lack of respect. "I was your king." "Was. But now you'll be king of dust. Save your breath and burn." So yeah, that's chapter 1. That's chapter 1. There we are. I love his accent. Thank you. I imagine that it is some poorly contrived Eastern European amalgam of a bunch of different accents. I don't claim to know any one accent. Darius, I came here to have a good time, and honestly, I feel so attacked right now. It's true. Also, hello, you. Welcome in. Also, hi, Chris. I will have my sushi later. Thank you, though. I'm gonna take a brief break at a Q&A and then have sushi at that point. But Thank you, though. I'm stoked. I have a sushi gift. Alright. Also, let me know if you have a cozy drink. Mine is a jasmine tea. Please, Vate. Oh, I should say chapter 2. Please, Vate, I called as the crowd began to disperse. I just need a moment to talk, explain myself. They ignored me. Typical. Albin stepped off the platform into the ankle-deep mud that coated all the streets of the town of Starkovia, and I jumped up and down impatiently as he walked away. I had tried to play nice. I was supposed to be a good guy now, right? No more vampire business, no more king of Starkovia. The once small town, a town I had conquered long ago, had grown into a kingdom. I had been a good king, but clearly not good enough. I was going to try and make amends for the mistakes of the last 400 years. We were off to a great start. I figured I would play by their rules, see if I could talk to them civilly before running off. Their first mistake was thinking that ropes could hold me. Now, I was just annoyed, and I didn't want to deal with their petty games any longer. With a deep breath, I called upon a dark power within me that had saved my life countless times. On the exhale, I became nothing more than a cloud of mist, black smoke that dissipated into the trees behind the hangman's platform. When I was far enough away from the platform behind a thick trunk, I returned to my original self. Before they could notice me, I held my breath and stood still. The night was my ally and would conceal me in her embrace until my friends, if I could even call them that, came for me. I thought for a moment about using some kind of spell to conceal my location, but... What were these village folk going to do? Hey! One of the commoners shouted. Where'd he go? Curse it all! Albin hollered as he rushed back to the platform, the sound of his leather boots sticking in mud echoing throughout the clearing. Split up, men. Search everywhere. We're not letting him get away. What's going on here? There was a voice I recognized. I strained my eyes as I watched the crowd of people part for a stranger, hopefully a stranger I knew. The torchlight bounced off an embroidered lily emblem on the back of a cloak worn by the newcomer on the scene, and Albin crossed his arms. I scoffed under my breath at my own impatience. If I had waited 2 seconds. What business have you here, outsider? Albin demanded, his lip stiff. I could smell his entitlement from the tree. My name is Urian. I'm an inquisitor of Avrena, goddess of death, from Suvia. I came to Starkovia to take care of your vampire problem. We can handle our own vampire problems, thank you. Apparently not. My goddess sent me here because they were breeding like cockroaches, or hadn't you noticed? My goddess is a protector of the dead, the dying, and the sacred meaning of life. Vampires defy all of that and are an offense to her. Let me do my job. Albin, I know him. A young person with hope in their eyes stepped up to Urian. You're the one everyone's been talking about. You're the one who saved the Ivanovs on their farm. The one who marched into Staban's castle to kill him. You're the famous vampire hunter. Oh, here we go. I waltzed from the tree line. Oh, hey, Urian. Nice night for a stroll. It was true. Urian had come to my castle to chop my head off. His god told him to hunt down the undead and make sure we could not sow our evil seed. We violated the balance of life and death, so therefore we must be stopped. His original intent had been to murder me, but things changed. Urian's cape settled, and he held a hand up to me, signaling me to stay where I was. Yes, I am a vampire hunter. Is everything all right? We had him, Master Urian, the youth replied. Albin tied him to that noose, and we were going to let him swing until until sunlight to cook, but he escaped. The cloaks fished as Urian crossed his arms. And how did he escape? The townspeople all looked at each other in confusion until one admitted, like a child being scolded, we don't know. Nobody saw. I turned into a fog cloud, I interjected. It was as easy as... I'll take care of him my way, Urian interrupted. Now you just hold here one moment, Albin spat, eager to punish me himself. We handle things in Starkovia our way. What gives you the right, stranger, to tell us how we run things here? If it wasn't for me and my traveling companions, you'd have no sun to roast your vampire. We dealt with the Starban problem. Urian retorted. Clearly not, Alban spat, for here he stands. The silence was palpable. I wondered what Urian would do with me when this whole thing was over. The townspeople were right to be wary of him, though. He kept a hood over his face at all times, the black fabric obscuring his features and a mask keeping his identity from view. He looked more like an assassin than an inquisitor, if you asked me. He was a little, how do I say, overdone. Way too overdone. Fine, Alban huffed. I'll watch you hang him myself. Everyone go home. There's nothing more to see here. The townsfolk wandered back to their houses, bitter that they were not allowed to partake in my demise. How ungrateful they were. I had protected them from all manner of terrible things, and this was how they repaid me? I leaned against a tree as if waiting for a friend, and crossed my arms, a smug grin on my face. Urian crossed his arms in kind and glowered at me from across the field. I suppose I could not see him glowering. Urian was just the kind of person who radiated glower-like energy. He jerked his head to the side, a sign for me to follow, and I stepped back into the light of the full moon. Urian was already halfway out of the clearing, me far behind him, when the click of a crossbow being armed echoed through the quiet field. Alban stepped further into the clearing, crossbow drawn, and pointed at Urian's head. The vampire is that way, Inquisitor. Or do you not know how to hang a vampire? I said I'd take care of him my way. That didn't mean I'd hang him. Urian replied, irritation on his tongue. That's a load of bull if I've ever heard it. He claimed he was traveling with you. We don't have any room for vampire lovers in this town. Alban's finger hovered over the trigger, and Urian's eyes looked back and forth between he and I. Urian's blue eyes glowed in the pool of black that surrounded them, their light reflecting gently on the brim of his mask. Had Alban noticed? I'm keeping an eye on him. There was no mention of love. Now lower your crossbow unless you want to go toe-to-toe with someone who far outclasses you. Alban's hand shook. I could see it across the field. After a moment of hesitation, he lowered his crossbow and raised his chin. How dare you? This vampire has terrorized my people for centuries, and you're just going to let him walk away? I'm keeping a very close watch on him. My companions and I are taking care of him. He's been charged with the task of cleaning up the mess he's made. I'm making sure he does just that. Golly, Urian, you sound like my babysitter. I groaned as I stepped closer to him. Can we go now? In a flash, Alban turned and pulled the trigger on his crossbow. The bolt soared through the air and hit me directly in the shoulder, its silvered tip piercing through my flesh. My eyes immediately began to water from pain, and I gripped the bolt. What the devil did you do that for? I demanded as I grabbed at the bolt. A dull pain throbbed through my shoulder. One of the benefits that I had gained from becoming a vampire was the luxury of being numb to sickness and soreness, wounds and aches to the extent that mortals felt, but it still hurt, if only a little. I broke the bolt off and pushed it from my shoulder. You tore a hole in my coat, peasant! A deep, exasperated sigh rumbled from Urian's chest as he pinched the bridge of his nose. Well, clearly, you need a babysitter if you're going to get caught walking around at night. So you're just going to let him live, then? Alban demanded. I sensed something new in his voice now. Desperation. Hundreds of children lost. Dead. Because of this bastard. He may have taken his crown off, but that does not erase his crimes. Who is the new king, A son of his? We haven't even seen any semblance of a ruler in hundreds of years. Her name is Civ. She was traveling with me and usurped him. She's clever and is already diligently working to set things right for your country. Urian replied, putting his hands up, attempting to defuse the situation. As far as misdeeds, I already said I'm making him right his wrongs before I take care of him. Where is this new queen? No royal proclamation, no introduction, no nothing, and you expect us to just roll over for her? Go to the castle yourself, Urian suggested. Speak with her. Air your concerns. If she gives you trouble, I'll have a word with her myself. Alban scrambled to load his crossbow with another bolt. I will not let this vampire take another step. Would you not want to see this vampire on the front lines, fighting monsters across the countryside in your people's stead. That's what I'm making him do for this country. Alban raised his crossbow at me again, and I rolled my eyes. This entire thing was getting boring. One of his monstrosities, Alban stammered, dragged me from my bed in the night. I held onto the windowsill for dear life, kicking and screaming as the thing tried to lift me into the air. Luckily, I escaped. They take you to the castle where he lived. The crossbow swung violently in the direction of my old home, which stood towering above the town, and eat you. Pardon me if I do not want this pillar of sin to be my knight in shining armor. Pillar of sin? That was a new one. Wouldn't it be far more satisfying to see him torn apart by one of his own monstrosities? No, it would be more satisfying to watch him die by my own hand, Alban spat. You leave this town. I recognize that I cannot beat the two of you, seeing as you're in league with it. If I ever see your face around here again, I'll hang you too. Alban stumbled back into town, and I stepped to Urien, trying as best as I could to avoid large puddles of mud. Slowly but surely, I felt the hole in my shoulder weaving itself back together, the wound repairing itself. I had not shed a drop of blood, and would be unmarked in a matter of minutes. The same could not be said of my coat. It had been a gift from my mother, and now it had an obnoxious hole in it. Thank you, dear friend, I rambled as we walked back toward our camp. Urien was never much of a talker. I thought you would have left me there to burn. It's really rather nice of you to come and save me from the angry townsfolk. You need to be more careful, Urien scolded, never moving his eyes from the tree line. Remember that the people of this country are deeply scarred by your actions and inactions. Furthermore, I would not go so far as to say that we are friends. Golly. Also, hello to everyone who is hanging out in the TikTok live. I appreciate you that you're here. Hi. Jumping up on this down on the gallows makes me laugh. Can't sit still to save his life. Yeah, I imagine it's like a child throwing a tantrum. He's like, don't leave me. Do not leave me here. For everybody joining the live, welcome in. And I'm reading from my new book, King of Dust. It came out today, so happy Halloween. It is a brand new vampire fantasy book inspired by Dungeons & Dragons. It does not take itself very seriously, so if you like vampires, and if you like spooky, silly Halloween-y books, and if you like Dungeons & Dragons, this is the book for you. It's available on Amazon if you're interested in checking it out. There's also a hardcover version that's got fun art on it as well, if you want to check that out too. Every order that comes from my Ko-fi store does also come with stickers and a bookmark, so you should capitalize on that while you can. There's a couple of King of Dust pendant stickers that are left. So thank you so much for hanging out in here and enjoying this book with me. We're going to be reading for about half an hour, and then I'll open the session for a Q&A if you want to hang out. So my name is Tycho. I'm an indie author, and I've written 9 books. This is my 9th one, and I hope that you all are enjoying it. If you have any questions for the Q&A, be sure to be thinking of them and drop them into the comments when the Q&A starts. I will gladly answer any questions about self-publishing, about the book itself, about Dungeons & Dragons, and how this inspired my book, about how I incorporated Dungeons & Dragons mechanics into my book, all of that good stuff. So thank you to everyone also who kickstarted this book and who pre-ordered the book and who left reviews on Amazon and Goodreads. I appreciate you all so much. So, alrighty, Chapter 3. I dug the toe of my shoe into the dirt because I didn't have anywhere else to look. I could feel all 3 sets of eyes on me, and if I looked up, I was bound to make eye contact with somebody, and that wasn't going to happen. Someone stabbed the tip of a stick into the fire, causing a log to break and fall, sending a shower of embers and noise into the night air. I shoved my hands beneath my legs to give them something to do. The hard, sharp bark of the log I rested on, poking into my thin leather gloves, and I rocked back and forth. So, Urien's voice echoed across the field. Do you have something to say for yourself? My eyes flicked upward toward his voice and met the gazes of everyone else. Ura leaned casually against a rock, using his bedroll as a cushion for his head. His usual expression graced his face, his eyes drooped in apathy, and his mouth softly downturned as if he were thinking about something inconsequential. His blonde hair fell in ringlets around his face, tied back by a silk ribbon, and he polished a rapier that glimmered in the firelight. Astrid sat on her bedroll cross-legged on the ground, stretching and rubbing her eyes. It was far past her bedtime, and her doll-like eyes fluttered shut as she attempted to stay awake. Though a grown woman herself, barely 19, she maintained a level of innocence that most Starkovians lost, and I admired that about her. She hugged a stuffed bear to her chest and looked as though she would fall asleep sitting up given the chance. She idly twirled a long, fiery curl, thin and coiled around her finger, her umber, freckled skin soaking up the golden light. I stammered like a child being scolded. I was 400 years old, for Fanda's sake. How was it that I could be intimidated? I went for a walk. That's all. How many times do I have to make it clear that the Starkovian commoners do not like you? Urien demanded. He sat directly across from me, the campfire glow glinting off the horns that swept back across the top of his head. He had removed his hood, now out of the public eye. He sat, leaned forward, fingers laced, waiting for an explanation. The Inquisitor was a Cambion, the result of a human having relations with true hellspawn, demons. And with his hood pulled back, the trace of tattoos danced across his collarbone. The tattoos had been enchanted at some point in Urien's life to hold objects. I did not know the extent of this enchantment, but he had pulled several things from them, cloaks, blades, even loot from kills. He was like a giant walking rucksack. It came in handy. His face looked human, but the icy color of his skin and the horns atop his head gave away his heritage. I figured no one would notice me. They know your face, Darius. Your face is on the back of their money. You think they won't recognize you? I didn't expect them to be so vigilant. I haven't been down here in 150 years? I didn't know they had guards posted all over the woods. I told you to stay close to me. Keep to the camp and keep your head down while we dig up the vampire mess you made. The next time you decide to wander off, I won't be coming to save you. Now, I'm going back to bed. We need to be up bright and early so we can figure out our next move. Urien stood from the fire and moved toward our wagon, where he climbed into the driver's seat to sleep. His bird, a large black raven, flew to sit on the top of the canvas cover to watch us all while we slept. He pulled his hood over his eyes and grumbled as he crossed his arms, sinking into a dreamless nothingness. What a carper. Urien bugs the hell out of me. Yura sighed as he stood from his rock. I'm glad you didn't get torched, Darius. I'm honestly not sure what I'm supposed to do, I griped. It's not like we sleep, What am I supposed to do all night? You don't have to tell me twice. You don't sleep? Astrid asked, her nose poked over the top of her bear as she cuddled it, her thick, dark eyelashes batting innocently. I smiled gently at her. I had kept so much from her while she had stayed with me in my castle. No, I said, we don't. Common misconception is that we return to our coffins during the day to sleep. For us, it's more like resting with your eyes closed. When I've been badly injured, I prefer to rest in a bed if I can. Same. No way in hell you're catching me in a coffin. Yura laughed. My bedroll kicked up dirt as I rolled it out. It had been hundreds of years since I'd slept on the ground. As I settled onto the mat, my mind carried me to a time before the night, a time of battles and blood, conquest and glory. I missed my family for just a moment before the weight of something cool pulled me back to the present. Yura moseyed his way over to where I lay and lay down behind me, throwing his arm over my chest. I took a deep breath. He always smelled of lavender. I think there's a way we can help the people in town trust us, Astrid said, hiding her pink cheeks behind the bear. She had not had much exposure to romance or the darker carnal desires of men, and even Yura's closeness flushed blood into her cheeks. I could hear her heart beating even through the crackle of the fire. Is that so, Tezamo? I asked. Yura used the long manicured nail of his index finger to toy with the pendant around my neck. 50 years ago, he and I had been inseparable. I had really thought I'd found someone I'd want to settle down with over the next 100 years, but now... I leaned as best as I could away from his hand, pulling my amulet from his fingers. He knew it was a precious heirloom of mine, and that I did not like it touched. The heart-shaped pendant had been a gift from my mother and was the last thing I had of hers. There's a house, Astrid continued. She set her bear down and nervously dragged her fingers through her flaming curly hair. It's only a few miles from here. It's cursed, and I think if we could clear it out, maybe we could... Oh, posh. Yura scoffed. He unclasped my cape, which settled beneath me where I lay, and ran his snow-white fingertips down the lace of my cravat. It's just rumors. I may be from Neston, but I've been around the town of Starkovia enough to know that nothing's been going on in the Hell House for years. It's all just bullshit. Not rumors. Astrid's pale eyes widened as she gazed into the fire, as though she had seen something horrible. People disappear all the time from Starkovia into that house. What have you heard? I asked. Honestly, it may be a good way for me to clear my name. If I could get rid of whatever demons were plaguing the town, maybe they would stop trying to turn me into burnt toast. The house used to be run by a cult. They did all sorts of horrible things there. About 100 years ago, torture was what I've heard. Something happened and everyone in the cult died. And the people around town say that the house eats people. Something tickled at the back of my brain, something I had long since forgotten, and I was on the cusp of remembering what it was when Yura pulled the cravat from my neck. He traced my Adam's apple, and I rolled over to prevent him from distracting me while I was trying to think. He pouted and pulled his arm from me. I think it's bull, he scoffed. Great, I irritated him now. Sounds like a waste of time to me. Astrid looked hurt, like a bird shot down. She grabbed a bear and stirred her feet, tiptoeing through rocks and dirt back to the wagon. I'm sorry I even said anything. I'm going to bed. It was a stupid idea anyway. Astrid, wait. I started trying to sit up. I was unfortunately a clumsy fool as usual, and I got tangled in my own cape underneath my feet trying to rise. I'll see you both in the morning, she muttered as she closed the door to the wagon, disappearing from sight. It's just us now, Yura whispered in my ear. I'm sure that Cambion grump is asleep. I'm not in the mood, I coughed, pulling my cape out from under him. You're never in the mood anymore. My eyes trailed to the door of the wagon. He was right. I hadn't been in the mood for 20 years. Are you really going to do this to me, Darius? Yura stood and let the fire bathe him in light. We used to be close. I know, Yura, I know. I'm not mad at you. I promise. I've just got a lot on my mind. Back when things were good, when you wanted me, life was perfect. Then Lilia was born and you started up your stupid quest again. You didn't leave it alone for 20 years, and now look where you are. Clara's spirit did reincarnate, and she wants nothing to do with you. Hold your tongue, I barked. I pointed my finger in his face, grief bubbling in my heart. You were good to me, Yura, and I you. You were the one who wanted to come along with me on this redemption escapade. I didn't force you to do anything. I came because I want you to love me, Darius. You made me immortal so we could be together, and now you want nothing to do with me. I didn't say that. Stuff it. Yura glared at the door to the wagon. Too bad I'm not your type. Seems like you only have eyes for helpless, red-headed girls. I hissed. I could feel my face flex into something inhuman, something pale with long, sharp teeth. After a moment, I gasped, regained my composure, and felt the animalistic side of myself fade back into the depths of my soul. That's hurtful, Yura. Think how I feel. He sat himself back down at his rock, and I pulled my cape about myself, becoming nothing more than mist. I drifted up into a tall tree, and then returned to my original form. The campfire was far away now, but the hurt was still raw. Yura was right. I had no clue what I wanted, and the only thing I knew was how to break hearts. And that's it. That's the preview. That's what you get. And no capes. Everybody's a fan of capes in this. So, thank you so much for everybody who's popping in to read. For those in the TikTok live that are passing through, my name's Tycho. We're reading from my brand new book, King of Dust. It came out today, so happy Halloween. It's a vampire Dungeons & Dragons style book. It's a lit RPG, progression fantasy. It's very fun, very silly, and it is available on Amazon now if you're interested. So, yeah. So I'm going to go take a brief break for just a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stop the TikTok live. So thank you so much to everybody who hung out over on this side of the internet. If you're interested in continuing to watch me, you can find me over on Twitch and on YouTube. The links to that are in my bio, so thank you again. When I come back on Twitch and on YouTube, we're going to be doing the Q&A, so think of all of your questions. I'm just going to go grab some sushi. I'll be back in probably less than like 5 minutes. So thank you again for the TikTok folks, and yeah, I will see you all in just a bit. All right, the TikTok live is done. And, yeah, all right, cool. I'm gonna go get some sushi. I'll be right back. All right, so I am back. I have sushi. So yeah, for like the next hour or so-ish, I just wanted to open up the floor to questions. We probably won't go that long. I blocked out enough time to talk for a little while about the books and all that good stuff, but I guess I can just go through and answer everybody's questions. And this can really be about anything. It can be about writing, the process of writing. It can be about, I guess, self-publishing, marketing. It can be about D&D. It can be about literally anything. So, I will start with a question. This one comes from Eric Fenn, and they ask, who was my favorite character to write? That is really difficult. Eric, why would you ask me this? This is like choosing children. I think for me, I know that this is a little bit silly and a little bit cliche, but legitimately my favorite character to write, because of the sheer amount of chaos caused, was probably Clarkloff, to be honest. I feel like it really wasn't like, I didn't have to put a lot of effort into writing Clarkloff, because I had to like think about the player who played him and then just channel. I was like, what would Nate do? What would he do? And then, pick the most chaotic option humanly possible. If Urian said, be quiet, Clarkloff screams, and that's just pretty much how that goes. But he's fun. Clarkloff is really, really fun. If I had to pick a more serious character, I would say, honestly, it's probably Yura. And the reason is because I really like him as a secondary antagonist. He's fucking mean. He can be really, really mean, and I don't know, he was just really important for Darius's character growth. Like, they were important for each other's growth, and I think that that's, yeah, it's pretty cool. So, favorite character. I tried to not give too many characters that I liked, like, uber amounts of screen time. So Clarkloff was more of a cameo, but I hope to have him cameo. I write more books in this universe. Clarkloff is just gonna appear. He's like a tumor. He just won't go away. Also, hello, Jace. Okay, actually, so I looked at your question, your spoilery question, and I think I can partially answer this without it being too much of a spoiler. So, you had asked, since Darius is a super old vampire, because he's like 400 years old, would carrying his vampirism turn him immediately to dust, And is that part of the reason why he avoided getting cured for so long and just kind of just vibed and was crusty? I think the answer to that is definitely yes. I should say as far as he knows. So, it's tough because with a traditional, like, bitten vampire, the longer you're a vampire, the more you just put pause on time, right? And so I feel like for Yura even, he was a vampire for like 50 years, but because it's not that long of time, he might not suffer as many effects from that. And the like instant dust might be like slowed. Time progresses slowly, but for somebody like Darius, it's pretty unavoidable. And so I think when he does agree to go with Urien on this redemption quest, there's a lot of like, well, fuck it, you know, I mean, I'm gonna end up dying anyway, so I might as well just do this, even though there's a huge risk factor for me instantly turning into a pile of bone dust at the end of it. So, it does kind of suck, but eventually he does, like, come around for it. You also asks, what was your favorite scene in this book? Oh, that's tough. I gotta try and think about it. I think one of my favorite scenes visually is probably the fight scene at the end of the book. There's like a massive demon that does get summoned. I won't say how or why, and everything's on fire. Yeah, Darius is really in his element at that fight. Otherwise, though, actually, the fight inside the temple to Ohalden is probably my other favorite scene, because there's a lot of like moonlight coming in through stained glass, and you have people like John Wick exploding through stained glass, and like everything's on fire, people are shooting magic around, and it really showcases everybody's unique like fighting styles, and it, at least in my opinion, the main like D&D aspects of the book in that scene. I really like it a lot. Yeah, so hopefully that answers that question. Let's see. I'm gonna eat another piece of sushi. Don't mind me. I have to like, this is actually like a great practice run for me because I'm gonna be doing all of these author events at the end of this year and into next year, and I need to be able to do this really well. Otherwise I'm screwed. Sush. I can't believe Ingram sent me a bunch of Nagi books. Like, they literally sent me an entire box of just this. So weird. So weird. I'm gonna be thinking about that for the rest of my life. But the Nagi books are 50% off in my store right now, so if you're okay with getting a hardcover version with no dust jacket, you can get one of these bad boys for 20 bucks, which is almost the price of the paperback. It's literally $5 more than the paperback, and then I will sign them, and then you get a sticky. So those are available in my Ko-fi store if people are interested. All right. Jace asks, King of Dust 2 when? That's a good question. I know that, at least for my own publishing pipeline, I have a couple of things plotted out for the future. So what I have coming up for sure is Court of Snakes 2, for sure. And that book is going to be coming out in 2026. So it'll be free on Wattpad starting this year. Let me make sure that that's correct. Or sorry, it's going to be coming out on Wattpad. Yeah, starting July 1st of next year, actually. So that's pretty cool. So that'll be coming soon. And I'm pretty stoked about that. Otherwise, I am considering making a Kickstarter for Mirror Gaze, maybe. And then the next thing that I'm writing currently is Fatal Mechanisms. That's been the thing that everybody has been asking for and has voted for. So at some point I will probably get around to it. I wish that I had a more definitive answer, but I know that this year, I know I was thinking about kickstarting Mirror Gaze, but it really depends on I don't know. I guess it's reception right now. Not a lot of people have read it, and I don't know if publishing it will make it go. It's not necessarily my strongest work. I don't know. I don't want to say it's a bad book, because it's not. So I might be spending most of my time next year instead working on audiobooks for existing books that I already have. So maybe soon. Was there a character that was like pulling teeth to write, like they just did not cooperate? I think, fortunately, I didn't really run into that in this book. Too bad. I tend to not have like writer's block too bad with like characters, and I'm very fortunate that all of these characters have very strong personalities and really easy to read motives. So when I put them in a situation, it's like, okay, well, who's doing what? It's like very clear exactly how everybody is going to react to that situation. Like, I don't know, definitely the benefit of having played a D&D campaign with some of these characters before was having that backbone for all of these guys. So Astrid was really the only new character that is completely from scratch, and even still, you can run into her or at least a version of her truly, in the Curse of Strahd campaign if you ever do play it, you know. So all of these characters had inspiration from either player characters that appeared in the campaign that I played in, like Urian's case, or characters from the Curse of Strahd, module themselves. So I changed their personalities, motives, backstories really dramatically. Yeah. I feel like Darius had almost nothing on him. Yura was nothing more than a weird vampire man in an attic. And then Astrid was like maybe an anecdotal side quest character. So fortunately, they all came into their own, which was really, really great. I feel like maybe the character that was the most tough for me to write, and only because I didn't want them to seem too tropey, were the villains, the true villains of the campaign. Because I know Dungeons and Dragons can be very like good versus evil. There is a good guy, there is a bad guy, and the bad guy is the ultimate bad guy. I tend to not like writing villains like that. And so the Hand and the Hags were rough for me, because it's like, okay, they're just bad people, and that's just all there is to it. They want nothing more than to further their own selfish gains, and there's not really a reason for it. Hags just are like that. That's just why they do what they do. And the Hand had a little bit more motive behind it, because he, like Darius, made a deal with the Hags, and it didn't turn out very well for him either. So that does kind of suck, but I think that was maybe, if I really had to put my thumb on it, that was the hardest part of working on this. Are you planning on recording the audiobooks yourself? Yes, as of right now, I don't really have the budget to hire somebody to record an audiobook. I would say the average cost of hiring a voice actor for an audiobook is like $20,000. So I am not wealthy. So that being said, I probably would be just recording these audiobooks myself, which is not a bad thing. I did try and listen to, literally today, Amazon's audio AI audiobook generator that they have in beta right now on Kindle Create. Lord, it's bad. It's so bad. Like, oh, it's awful. Really fucking bad. So, yeah, I definitely can't use anything like that because not only does it mispronounce things like in an insane amount, but it's like beep boop beep boop beep beepity boop boop ba deep boop 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 boop, and you're like, wow, you sound fucking like garbage. So we're not going to be doing that. That's trash. And I'm not sure which books I'm going to start recording an audiobook for. This book has been the most requested audiobook out there. Every single time I go to a convention, people are like, do you have an audiobook for it? And every time I have to say yes, but it's technically on Wattpad and it's text to speech and it sounds like shit. So I'm not sure if I'm going to record it with an accent, because I know for some people the accents are distracting, but I feel like for me it makes, one, the character voice is more distinct so people understand who is talking, and then two, I think speaks to the characters a little bit better. But I don't know what y'all think about that. I don't know. I don't know if y'all have any preferences. Okay, I'm gonna eat this like semi-soggy deep fried jalapeno right now. If y'all watched me die, you know what happened. Do the action. We got a couple accents, yes. Yes on accents. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do that. What's crazy to think about is I have in my back burner pipeline the 10-year anniversary for Brady is coming up, which is nuts. That's so nuts. So that might be something also too that I throw in my pipeline, is a special edition, maybe like a Brady Von Altus compendium. You know, it's all 5 of the books. I would want to go through something like Print Ninja, get like 500 units of it. They might be kind of expensive. I don't know. I'd have to see how that would work out. Sprayed edges, you know, I'd want like a really nice book for that, but we shall see. But yeah, I do want to work on that. I don't know. How do you guys feel about a print version of Mirror Gaze? Is that something that you're interested in? And for people who are unfamiliar with that title, I released it for free on Wattpad this year with the hope of getting Waddies shortlisted, just because I needed something to chuck into the Waddies this year. I was not shortlisted. That's okay. But effectively, the book is like a really short, like soft fantasy, just like really quick. It's a really quick read. And it's effectively Frozen but better is what I've been marketing it as. But it follows a young woman named Ayun. Her sister Nayeli is going to be, she technically is queen of this Mayan Empire inspired, Central to South American inspired country. And Ayun is blind. Her sister has the ability to open up portals to other dimensions. And when she was very little, she got pushed into the portal and suffered effectively irreversible damage. And so Nayeli is traumatized. Ayun can't see. And all Ayun wants is to effectively be able to escape, because Nayeli is low-key crazy and is keeping her in the house. Nayeli is starting to get to the point where she has to marry another man in order to be able to create a strong political alliance for their kingdom of Mari Soria. And Ayun is hoping that she's going to be able to find somebody that she wants to like hook up with so that she can leave too, just vacate the country. What ends up happening is Nayeli ends up having a psychotic break, and it's not great. She opens up hundreds of thousands of these portals to other dimensions, and these shadows come out of these shards, is what they're called. The shadows start to take everybody into the shards, killing them and putting them into other pocket dimensions, never to be seen again. So Ioun, blind, has to go and find her sister, get her sister to close the shards, all while they work together as sisters through the grief of losing their parents and not having a very solid relationship. Unlike Frozen, this book does not focus on romance too heavily. There is a love interest, but he's like pretty inconsequential. There is no twist villain. Olaf is not present. And Ioun, Kristoff is still crazy. He lives in the woods, but he's a crazy old man. He's a crazy old prepper man that lives in the woods. And so it's quality. I really like it, but I don't know if there's enough interest in it to want a print version of that book, if that makes sense. So, I don't know. I don't know how everybody feels about that, if there's enough interest. And that kind of a work. But if so, maybe I'll kick it out next year. Anything can happen. Do you ever just look at some types of sushi and you're like, I don't want this. I would get it. Nice. It is also nice. It would expand my adult fiction repertoire because Nayeli and Ioun are both adults. You know, it would not be a young adult title. So, but does anybody have any, Oh, I guess I should wait. I'll chill out. Wait for the Twitch people to get out of ads. That's okay. Ad Town is not a fun place to be. We don't like Ad Town. Nice. Okay, well, welcome back. Welcome back from Ad Town. I was just gonna ask, does anybody have any more questions? I suppose I could ask about general marketing advice. Yes, yeah, and literally all questions are open. Free. Yeah, so I don't know what I want to do. Part of me wants to just make audiobooks for the books that I released in order, and so that would mean that the Brady books would come first, and that's how that would work. Oh my god, hair, chill out. So the Brady books would come first, and ultimately then it would go Brady, and then Court of Snakes 1 would be the next books that would be released, and then after that, One Pale Reflection, and then after that, King of Dust. But I don't know. Could I like rocket through enough audiobooks to be able to actually get through them in a decent manner? Maybe. And then at that point, I might do like, I don't know. I don't even know if I could kickstart them, because I'm trying to figure out, yeah, if there's a possibility for that, or if I should just release the books. And that is a difficult question to ask. I love all of the, yes, hit me with those King of Dust emotes. Yura needs an emote. It needs to be him being a little whiny baby man. Oh my god. Can you tell I'm struggling with the mirror function? Okay, alright, but, you know what? I give up. I don't know what's going on. I'm like trying to make sure my hair doesn't look like I'm on crack. He should be a pouty emote. True. Yep. Yo, ayo, welcome in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that biddy. Chris for the biddies. Oh, there's 100 whole biddies. That's a lot of biddies. Thank you. I appreciate it. That is, 200 biddies. Oh, I can read. I can do math. That's so many bits. Yeah. So I don't know. If there was a Kickstarter for audiobooks, what would y'all want to see in the Kickstarter? Is there anything I can offer exclusively? Because I know, like, with this, that was why this was really cool, right? Because you have the regular version of the book, and then you have this version of the book, which is extra and beautiful, and Kickstarter backers got it for, like, $10 cheaper, and, like, all of that stuff. So I can, like, understand how that would work. But for audiobooks, what kind of exclusivity could I offer, do you think? Physical CDs, that's a good idea. Do you think that there is a need for that? Because I know I am a kind of a hoe, and I do like it when artists will release their stuff on cassette. I'm ancient! Heyu's over in the Discord sharing great illustrations of Darius almost dying at page 1 of King of Dust. Commentary is an interesting idea, though. Yes, Heyu dropped potentially commentary, and that could be kind of interesting over in the, like, at the end of each chapter, or as like a separate audio file that I share with everybody. But yeah, commentary disc. Yeah, that could be interesting. That's not a bad idea. Also, thank you again, Chris, for those biddies. I appreciate it. Nom, 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 nom. I'll eat the biddies. Also, apparently, you can gift subs at a discount. I learned this. I was today years old. Twitch is yelling information at me. But yeah, I'll do some brainstorming, because that might be my Kickstarter for next year. Is if I can get all the Brady books recorded in just one fell swoop, to be able to release that onto Kickstarter. But yeah, effectively where I'm at in the pipeline right now is I've got King of Dust is obviously just at the end of its publishing cycle now, so this is it's going to be done, save for author events around the Colorado area, if you're in my area. But then also, Court of Snakes is now in beginning the actual publishing production cycle, so that's going to be the next one. And then Fatal Mechanisms is in the writing phase, so that's kind of what we're looking at for future projects, which is exciting and intense, and the world turns or something. But yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else that I have going on. Yeah, eventually more King of Dust stuff will come. I like to think too that Mirror Gaze is actually in the King of Dust universe. I think it's in the same universe, if I had to be honest. So, does that mean that there could be really weird Iyun Darius crossover writing later? Maybe. Would it be horrifying? Yes, it would. Yep, it'd be awful. I don't even know how that would go. It'd be bad. That's just... Nayeli would be like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate all of you. The blue one's fine, Urian's like in the background. She'd be like, girl, you're crazy. Astrid's like, what? He's fine. And Darius is over there just like inverted. Like, it's many universes if you think about it. You're right. You're right. Mirror Gaze, in fact, is multiple verses. True. Yeah, technically, Nayeli and Iyun never go into the portal. say for at the very end of the book. You can't really like walk through them to get to other places. It's kind of like going to hell. So, I don't know. Yeah, maybe Mirror Gaze will come one day. I'll see. I'm just gonna... I can't submit it anymore to the Waddies because they changed the rules on how many times things can be submitted. So now Mirror Gaze is effectively left to the wind. And any further effort I put into it is how much effort there will be. And that's pretty much... That's it. That's all she wrote. Literally and figuratively. I have never seen Murder, She Wrote, by the way. Okay, I'm actually going to probably toss this sushi. I ate all that I could. Also, I have candy corn. Yeah, so I'm excited. I get to effectively be doing the same thing. It would be about right now-ish that at another author event, a physical author event, I would stop and sign books if people are interested in purchasing books from me. So this trial run ends up being a little bit longer, where we have this conversational piece going on because I can't sign books because y'all are in the zeros and ones zone in the internet. But hopefully this is how my in-person author events will go. And they won't be a disaster. I've never done book signing events before, and I am scared. I am, yeah. So, we'll see. I've only done conventions. It's a mystery. But, yeah. Yeah. If nobody has any further questions, we could always call the stream here. So that way I'm not just awkwardly, like, eating candy corn and staring at the camera. But if you do, let me know. Also, yes, I'm one of those controversial weirdos that eats the candy corn. It's me. I'm that guy. But yeah, this launch has been absolutely nuts. Totally crazy. I just dropped like 400 books on more book stock to prep for all of these events that are going to happen over the next like several months, and I'm terrified. Terrified. I have never ordered so many physical copies of books in my life, and it's going to be an even mix. So it's like some of it is the paperback, some of it is the hardcover. But like, oh my god. And if I sell them, crazy. My first ever event where I will be signing books will be at a cat convention. That's going to be exciting though. I'm sure people are going to love it. Yeah, it'll be cool. It'll be kind of interesting to see if there's an intersection, like the Venn diagram of people who like cats and read, because I find a lot of cat people do read. You want to sit down and then you want to have your cats like climb on you like a cat tree while you're enjoying your book. So it seems like it might be a good demographic to hit. Yeah, there's cat conventions, and you go and you can bring your cats in little backpacks. And it's delightful. Yeah, I don't know. No, maybe he should deal. Okay, I guess I'll open it. I'll open it. Jace, do you wanna come help the poor man out and come grab this sushi for me? It's not even that he wants in. He just doesn't like that the door is closed. It freaks him out. Oh, they have cat shows. Oh, that's cool. Hi, Jace.
You want me to take it from you?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I ate as much as I could. I appreciate you. Hi, cute. He's like, now you're closing me in here? What is happening? This is hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. There's so much going on with book projects. Oh, of course he left. What a hoe. I've been betrayed. Yeah, I feel like I have a million pots on the stove right now. I'm still also waiting to hear back from Wattpad about the originals. Vertical, whether or not I'll actually get a book there too. But they're restructuring, so that's what's taking so long. I just have to be very patient. Mr. Man! Alright, come here, buddy. Come on. Oh my god. Oh, that was the least graceful way you could have possibly come up here. This is Tatsu, for everybody who has not met my cat. Mr. Man, you're being scandalous. On stream, you're being gross. People don't want to see your booty. This is like effectively why I don't get as much writing done as I should. But yeah, does anybody have any final questions? Because if not, we can dip. Ah, Eric has... Okay, go, shoot. Let's do it. I've got another candy corn. Sir, no, this is my candy corn. No, get away from me. You can't have... Look, this is a candy corn. You can't eat candy corn. That one was a stale candy corn anyway. It was awful. It was like really bad. It wasn't even good candy corn. This little dude is ridiculous. Look, this is a pretzel. No, don't touch it. He's like, yeah, don't touch it. He gives me high fives. With your writing and publishing process, since you also edit for people, do you edit your own or do you get another editor? Oh, I have to get another editor. Yeah, I physically cannot edit my own. The reason being is that, like, your eyes will glaze over and you will miss every typo. And that's just the way that it goes. So, fortunately, I have two very, very cool editors. One of them is QWERTY, the amazing Stephanie Gillis. She's a wonderful author and a very talented editor. And then also my friend Jelaine is my other editor, and they are great. I'll typically put my books through 2 rounds of editing, and then I'll rely on beta readers to find typos in stuff. Typically that's how that goes. But yeah, I would never recommend for most people. Some people can pull it off, and if you can, I definitely applaud you. But for most people, I would never recommend editing your own work. You can do the preliminary rounds of editing, like if you want to throw stuff into Grammarly and look for grammar errors or places where you missed commas, or you have too many commas, or the dashes are wrong, or rewording needs to happen. I would recommend that, but like beyond that, it's definitely, I think, recommended and encouraged to have at least one other editor look at your stuff, so that way you don't end up accidentally having something really weird happen and get missed at the very minimum. And then at maximum too, somebody who is familiar with your style but is not you is going to be able to say, oh, that sentence sounds really weird and I don't understand what you were trying to say, or you repeated this information, or other things like that, which is that can be really invaluable. So also, do y'all like the massive fluffs of Tatsu hair that are just like coming off of his body and floating around like paranormal activity in here? Yeah, I didn't have any cat fur on me, and then we're here. He likes his ears scrubbed, so he'll literally flip upside down. But yeah, I like having lots of editing. Oh God. When I say I am now covered in so much cat hair, this is really bad. What? What do you want? I'm being bullied. I was like, I should get a black cat because I have lots of, black clothes and it's going to be awesome. It'll be just fine. And then I ended up with a white cat. I don't know how that happened to me. But yeah. Okay, he laid down. Is it time to go sleepy eepy? He has potatoed. He has entered potato mode. Okay, I hope I didn't get any hair in my tea because I'll cry. But yeah, any other specific questions? I will touch on general, like, hey, you, for the general marketing advice questions, what did you have questions about? Is there anything specific? He is like a toasted marshmallow. You are right. He's like a lightly, it's like somebody who like barely put the marshmallow in the fire and then pulled it out really fast. Like, it's like somebody who goes to Starbucks but they don't really like coffee, so when they order a drink, they get a frappe or a frappuccino, and it's all milk with some caramel syrup in there. That's it. Look at this little dude. I love him to death, though. If I were to record audiobooks, are there any audiobooks that you all specifically want first? Because I know for some people it's like King of Dust for sure, because it's an adult book and that demographic is broader, but I wondered if anybody had any opinion on that too. I gotta get supplies to do it though. I need a pop filter for my mic, and I need echo dampening, like sound room foam to stick up on these walls in an attempt to dampen the echo a little bit. I know I should probably have an independent meeting with you later. That's totally fair. We can absolutely work that out too. Yeah, let me know. I can work it into my schedule at any time. But yeah, I think definitely the biggest thing that I learned in terms of marketing this whole thing would be that I don't know, I was very surprised about the receptiveness of the book signing events, but I also recognize that those are a big money sink. So a lot of these people are saying that because of just the traffic that they have in their stores, that like an author could expect to sell anywhere between 10 and 20 copies of their book, which is way more than a single title that I typically sell at conventions. I'm like genuinely surprised when I go to conventions and I sell like 4 copies. So to say you're going to come to this and you're going to sell 10 to 20 copies, that's insane. But I think having the focus on you as like a singular author in those events helps, because you're the only one there. There's no competition, and so you don't have people like walking around a convention hall being like, oh, I want to buy that and that and that and that, and then they think, oh, well, the book, I don't really want to buy that. So that's definitely the biggest thing that I've learned throughout this marketing cycle, is that I've never done these kinds of events before, so I'm excited. I'm hoping that I just sell out of every single one of these at all of the events that I go to. Unfortunately, it is a massive money sink, and so you can only really do as many events as you can afford. The events themselves are free. The stock for books is not, and that's where that gets really, really tricky. So I would recommend it if you find that your book is being received in a way that is like it warrants that kind of attention, because I don't think I would have thought that any of my other books would have done this well. Like, it's tough because all of the other books I've written are for kids, so I don't think that they would have done nearly as well in these kinds of settings. And because this is for adults, and adults are the ones with money, this is the one that is going to be making a difference. So definitely interesting. All right, it might be King of Dust. I might just do it. It's a short book. I'll sit down and I'll record it. Just means I need to buy a pop filter. A pop filter and audio foam when I make some money next. I'll have to add it into my production pipeline, and we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be a good time. Now the question is do I do music? Do I audioscape the thing? Because that could be dope. Is it obnoxious? Is it distracting? Because I know for some people they're like, fuck that. I'm like, no, but like, give me the immersion. Audio foam is probably a lot better than being hunched over in a closet, honestly. I don't know how much audio foam even costs, so I know pop filters on Amazon are like $10 though, thankfully. You can get audio foam panels for like $40. Acoustic foam. Lord. You can get a 12-pack for $12. You can get 50 of them for $40. That is so much acoustic foam. You will have the crispiest audio quality. I can't. That's ridiculous. I don't know the best way to mount them to walls though, because I don't want it to be like... sticky to my paint, you know? Because these guys don't include stickies. How dare they? Boo. All right. Well, anything else? Anything else from anybody? I'm gonna look at acoustic foam packs now. Although I guess I shouldn't at the moment because I just spent all my money on fucking books. So, yeah. Oh my goodness, Tatsu, you're so cute. What did I do to deserve you? He's so cute. But yeah, definitely want to say thank you again to everybody who backed the book on Kickstarter, who pre-ordered the book, who left reviews on Goodreads, who left reviews on Amazon. It is open on Amazon, so if you haven't left a review on Amazon yet, I would be so tickled if you went and did so, especially if it's a 4 or 5-star review. That's awesome. I would feel super great about that. But yeah, it lives. It officially lives. So since 2018, this stupid thing was sitting on the internet, and now it sits in my hand. What an incredible journey it has been. So yeah, thank you so much to everybody. Just again as a reminder, the Naked Weird Dust Jacketless versions are available in my Ko-fi right now, and you can use the discount code that I dropped over in my announcements channel on my Discord to go and get 20% off of them, so you can get it for even cheaper than $20 right now. The code is just Halloween 2024 if anybody is interested in purchasing that and any other books. But yeah, it's there, and if you want to get them as gifts for, like, you know, friends and family, or like holiday season or things like that, that's a good idea. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for joining me for the launch party. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. And yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go and, I don't know, live life, do homework. So I hope that you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, and I will probably see you again on Monday If not on Monday, on Tuesday for writing sprints. So see you later. Bye bye.